We are now 33 full days into the John Deere strike, and another vote is now looming. On Friday night, the company and United Auto Workers Union announced a third vote will take place, and it's coming up on Wednesday. And joining us live is News 8's Shelby Kluver. Between the second offer 2 weeks ago and this latest offer, I guess, what's really changed?
Well, frankly, not a lot. When news of this third offer broke, the union itself said it's essentially the second contract with minor modifications. But after that vote was finished by only a few hundred people, Deere is hopeful this can flip enough workers to end this strike. 2 weeks after rejecting a second tentative agreement, UAW members are gearing up for another vote. The latest offer hinges on two main tweaks to the company's second contract, mostly revolving around Deere's Continuous Improvement Performance Plans, otherwise known as KIP. It's an incentive program based on the idea the more product employees produce beyond their assigned goals, the more pay they can get on their weekly paychecks. Previously, KIP was capped at 15%, meaning if workers produced 115% of their target, they would get 15% more pay that week. And anything over is put into a reserve fund, divided up later. Under this new offer, that cap is raised to 20%, meaning workers could potentially earn more from week to week.
They have a sliding pay structure by which, unless workers figure out a better, faster way to do stuff, over time, their pay literally starts to go down.
Michael Childers is a labor expert at the University of UW-Madison. He says Deere's KIP is one of the most complicated in the industry.
So in order for them to maintain their earnings as they produce a part over time, they have to come up with a way to produce more parts to maintain the same pay.
The other major change is all about efficiency. Right now, if a team of workers overproduces more than their targets for the first half of the year, Deere will raise the standard of what those workers are expected to produce for the second half. The new offer says Deere cannot officially increase company expectations until teams produce an even higher amount than previously used, and only over the course of a full year.
10,000 families are making some really tough decisions right now.
Childers says at this point in the strike, the question for workers of do I like this contract has to also be balanced with how much longer can I do this?
Because in this race to see who's in more economic discomfort first, John Deere or individual families, I think we know the answer to that, right? It's tough for these folks. They're not used to not being able to make their bill.
Now, you might remember Deere has said that second offer would have been their best, final, and last, and it appears that they're sticking to that. Labor experts I speak to say all of these minor changes actually won't impact Deere's bottom dollar, and essentially, instead of paying their workers more, these tweaks kind of shuffle around when workers get paid. Jim?
Well, we've seen overwhelmingly no votes, particularly from the Waterloo plant, the largest of the union plants that are voting. And mind you, there are a dozen plants. Locally in the Quad City area, the votes have been much closer. So what have you been hearing from local workers in regards to this possible third vote?
Well, not every John Deere worker gets KIP bonuses, so some people I speak to say they're going to keep voting no because this won't directly impact them. However, the general consensus from a lot of local union members is that this ratification vote might just pass. It's been a long month on these picket lines. Workers are cold, they're bored, and frankly, a lot of them cannot keep surviving on these strike paychecks. So now it's all up to Wednesday to see if this strike will end on day 35 or if it'll keep going, presumably past Thanksgiving.
Well, add a Thanksgiving holiday in there as well. There's a lot of people mindful of how long they've been off work. Shelby Kluver reporting live for us tonight in East Moline. Most Iowans appear to support John Deere union members on strike. That's according to a Des Moines Register poll. Out of the people surveyed, 58% said they mostly side with the union members. 16% said they sided with John Deere. 19% of people polled said they were unsure, while the rest said they just didn't support either side.